This video isn't expected to take longer than 5 minutes in going from a changeover from this size through to this size, and we haven't even done any sealing of this, so this will be a test seal. So first, coming across here with the machine on and set up correctly, we have the product there. When you turn the conveyor on and the induction on it, they both need to be on. It takes some time for it to start, 5-6 seconds, and that's a good setting for that particular jar. Wait for that to come out, but now we're going to move it over to this jar. So we'll turn the induction off, the conveyor goes off, we'll turn the conveyor off. Indeed, we don't need the sealing head on, we can leave that going, makes no difference, but I'll turn it off. And we want to set it for this job here. So again, I've not run this job at all, and we'll take it just to a good tightness. Obviously we need to get these rails out to be about centered for this container, and that's pretty good. I can see that there's a little bit of interference here. You may need to actually go forward and put it back behind there for a wider container, and that's what I'll do for this one. So I'm using the conveyor as a guide as to whether I'm centered with these guides, and I think we're pretty good there, and that's pretty good there too. Next thing is probably the most time consuming of this one, because it's such a fine adjustment, is to raise the head up high enough. And so that's what I'm doing now, raising the head up high enough. Take a little while to do it. This will be the boring part of it. After we've raised the head up, I'm going to get to a clearance of about 4 millimeters. That allows for any cap variations, and we don't want any products to be caught underneath the sealing head with the induction sealing on. It'll just keep heating and heating up the induction seal. So, got quite a wide sealing height range, as you can see, and we're nearly there. Next step will be to make sure that the rails on the outfeed have got enough room. Again, we don't want it path jammed from after the sealing head. A backup is a problem. This particular unit has a backup sensor, so that if there is a problem with clearing, we're even with it now, and I'm just taking it up higher, giving it about 4 millimeters clearance. 2 to 4 millimeters, but 4 safe. That's plenty of clearance, and then we'll see that that runs through, and make sure that these guide rails at the end are not too tight. They're not so important, these guide rails, but you can see they are made of plastic instead of metal, because they do go underneath the sealing head a little bit. So I'm just doing a very rough adjustment there. I certainly want to leave enough room for that to get out and not jam under there, and there's enough room. Checking the clearance on this end, it's good too. So we're ready to try a setting, and so I'm turning on the machine, the conveyor. It's a good idea to have the conveyor set to a rather high speed to begin with a test. Probably 8 is plenty. Take it to 9. This is at the full reading. I'll take it back down to, say, 180, 175. It's quite arbitrary. And now we're ready to send through the bottle. So that's in essence the initial setup. Now we hunt for a good range, sealing temperature. You should measure the height of this from the conveyor. If it's good for the next setup, and the next setup will be a lot quicker. So we're going to run that through now. See it go through. And once it's gone through, I like to tap the top of the container and see if I can feel a decent amount of heat, something about 40 degrees or more. I can feel a bit of heat's gone in there. That's good. What remains to be seen now is whether that amount of heat or induction seal is enough for a good seal, and whether in fact that cap, without any foam in it, it should have foam, was enough to give it a good consistent seal. All right, I'm waiting a little while because we need to wait for the material to set, or I should say the sealing layer to set and cool. On plastic like this, a good minute is ideal, but for the purposes of this video, I'm going to open it up a little bit quicker than that. This is one of those caps where you need to squeeze it before you can open it, so I'll do that. Going to open it now, and we'll see if the seal's gone. Okay, the seal has attached. Whether it's been a strong enough attachment or not, it's a good looking seal. Remains to be seen. I can see a heat pattern. It's a lot harder to pick on the camera. The heat patterns come into the middle. I'd say that is a good seal. We'll put this down for a minute and we'll see whether the sealing action is good or not. Try and keep that in camera for you. Okay, and we'll go for a peeling action now. So getting my finger underneath there, and so you can see it's a fairly strong peel, and really all the way along we can see that rim there is good. Now that was just a first test guess, and it was a great setting for that particular container.